How to develop effective communication skills. That's exactly what we are going to discuss in today's video. Hi guys, welcome to Insider Gyan. My name is Somi. I'm an IIT Delhi and ISB Hyderabad grad, and for the last 8 years I've been working in management consulting and banking. And on this channel I share my experiences, my college, job, life related experiences so that some of you can benefit from it and it can help you in some of your decision making process as well. So if that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing to the channel. सबसे पहले तो ये देखते हैं कि what are some of the key components of effective communication. Communication is basically whenever you are trying to convey something to the other person, be it via written form or be it via verbal form or any other kind of form, pictorial form, video form. So that's communication. But what is effective communication? In my opinion, effective communication has three key components. Component number one is you talk to the point. मतलब कि डिस्कशन में जिस टॉपिक के बारे में डिस्कशन चल रहा हो, you talk about that, you are coherent, you are making sense, and if you are answering a question, you are answering exactly the question that is being asked to you. So basically ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि एप्पल के बारे में बात चल रही है and you all of a sudden start talking about orange and then it doesn't make sense, no one understands. So that shouldn't happen. Component number two is whatever you are trying to convey, you are able to convey in the shortest and in the most concise form possible. Because people have very short attention span, and if you keep rambling about something, you will lose their attention and you'll not be able to effectively put across your point. And this is even more important in any kind of formal communication, like written communication or in an office setting, or probably when you are giving a client presentation. And component number three, and the most important component, is people are able to understand exactly what you're trying to say. Because if you are trying to put something across and the other person understands something else altogether, then it's not really helping you put your point across effectively. So that's component number three. So now talking about how to develop these skills. A lot of people think that most of us are natural communicators, or if we are not a good communicator, we cannot become better. But that's the biggest myth. With a bit of preparation, with a bit of practice, you can develop communication skills, which is entirely the point of this video, to share some of the things which you can consciously keep in mind to be an effective communicator. Number one point on how to develop these skills, as cliche as it may sound, the first thing is listening properly. Is listening properly to what the other person is saying so that you can react with what the other person needs to hear. Because until the time you're not listening properly to what the other person is saying, you will not be able to put across meaningful points. And when I talk about listening skills, I don't only mean the words that are coming out from that person's mouth, but also the overall body language. Like, try and understand what the person's mood is. He or she may be frustrated at something, but he may be trying to be non-confrontational, or he may be trying to be polite. So you need to be able to listen to the person as well as to understand what the person's trying to say, what his mood is, so that then whatever your reaction is, that's going to be according to that. So in this kind of a situation, your intuition or your reading between the lines or listening between the words play a big role. Second point is, whenever you're communicating, try and be as structured as possible. Because when you are structured, you are logically going to be forming a sequence of events, and that's also easy for the other person to understand. It is a much more coherent way. So think of it this way: when you are reading a story, what is the first thing that you want to hear? And then you build up on that point, and then you eventually conclude the whole story. And then it just becomes easier for the other person to follow what your thought process is. First, you should definitely start with some context. A lot of times what happens is we take it for granted that in a meeting setting, for example, because people are a part of this meeting, they will definitely know what the context is. But that may or may not be the case. Some people would have come to the meeting not reading the pre-material. So you can't assume that everyone knows the context. So you definitely need to start with context whenever you're communicating about anything. And then, of course, you talk about the main bulk, and then you end it with any kind of action item, like a call to action, or just sort of a conclusion to the whole point that you're trying to make. Structuring your thoughts is not as easy as it may sound, right? To some people, it may come naturally, but to the others, you need to do a little bit of homework before you go to a meeting, or before you know that a big communication meeting or an event is coming up. So you can make a storyline of all the points that you want to cover. Then you can think about, oh, this point should come first, and then I'm going to talk about this point. So if you do a little bit of homework and preparation before an event, you will come across as a much more coherent storyteller and a much more effective communicator during the actual event. Lastly, let's talk about how to communicate in most concise manner. And this is where, again, preparation and a little bit of practice comes handy, because we tend to ramble. A lot of times we are just speaking our thoughts out, but for us to be able to communicate effectively, that kind of thought process or thinking in our head should have happened way before the actual event. Which is what I mean by preparation and practice. अगर event के पहले तुम अपने talking points लिख लोगे, and you will naturally be not only structured but also much more concise about the point that you are trying to put across. For example, when you are writing an essay for your MBA, for example, your first draft is never going to be within the word limit of 300 or 400 words that you are supposed to put it in. You always start with a draft which has maybe 1,000 words. It's the first draft, and this is where you put in all your thoughts out on a piece of paper, and then you try and shorten it, right? And then you try and make it more concise. Similarly, with oral communication or any kind of written communication, to be able to convey your message in shortest number of words, you need a lot of preparation and practice beforehand. One thing that can really help you in practicing beforehand and preparing beforehand is, number one, of course, jotting down your talking points so that you are a little more prepared, and it will help you not only in communicating, but just in case you feel nervous talking in a group, it will help you, it will make you a lot more prepared and a lot more confident as well. The other thing that I usually do quite a bit is, whenever there's a big presentation or meeting coming up, I always, after noting down my points, I always try and do a little bit of preparation or practice in front of the mirror. I would treat myself as the audience in the mirror, and I would talk to myself. That's a very effective way of sort of putting out what is there in your brain into words when you are talking. So yeah, that's a part of preparation, and once you do that, you are much more fluent and much more coherent when you are giving your talk in the actual event. And lastly, you should always keep in mind that communication is not just through words. So whenever you are talking, whenever you are communicating, people don't only hear your words. Like I mentioned, you should keep an open eye to the other person's mood. Similarly, whoever you're talking to, that person is also judging you all the time. So yeah, smile a lot, make eye contact, stay engaged, ask questions. This will show that you are interested, you are listening. And yeah, all of these things together can not only make you look as a very effective communicator, but it will also present you as a very confident person with a very charming or a magnetic personality. That's all that I wanted to share in today's video. Hope you guys liked it. These are all from my personal experiences, and these are all things that I have done or I do before every kind of meeting. If you like the video, definitely hit the like button, and please subscribe to the channel because it's absolutely free for you, and I'm going to see you in the next video. Till then, bye.